They once said women were little more than vessels for children. Napoleon himself spoke those words. At first it sounds harsh, even offensive. But when you look deeper, you see what he meant. He wasn't simply mocking women. He was reflecting on his own brutal experience with power, love, and betrayal. Great men are rarely present in ordinary life. Their time, energy, and soul are consumed by ambition, vision, and struggle. A man who builds empires cannot also be the man who constantly reassures, comforts, and submits to routine affection. Napoleon lived this truth as both emperor and husband. His desperate, almost pleading letters to Josephine went unanswered while she gave her attention elsewhere. He discovered something most men never admit. Not all women are drawn to greatness. In fact, many fear it. Because true greatness is unpredictable. It isn't tame. It doesn't sit quietly at the dinner table or pause for comfort. It is restless, hungry, burning, and for many women that is not love, it is threat. So they often turn toward what feels safe, toward the man who offers stability, predictability, and dependence. A man who places her above mission. A man who lacks danger, risk, and fire. In other words, the mediocre man. Napoleon saw this clearly. He wasn't speaking with hatred, but with cold calculation. Most women in his eyes never rose beyond biology, never understood the storm that drives a man who refuses to live small. He had long stopped chasing affection. What he pursued was truth, even when that truth was painful. And one truth became clear: the higher a man climbs, the lonelier the path becomes. Look at our world today. It celebrates success only when it is beautiful, entertaining, or convenient. But true greatness unsettles people. It unsettles relationships. A man who is relentless, visionary, and consumed by his purpose will always be misunderstood, especially by those who seek comfort more than conquest. Napoleon, the master of war, was reduced to begging Josephine not to betray him. Yet she did. Why? Because power excites, but predictability secures the heart. Power can win nations, but rarely wins emotional loyalty. And this is still true today. Many men think that if they just work harder, achieve more, and rise higher, they will finally be loved. But greatness does not inspire devotion the way softness does. The more extraordinary a man becomes, the less lovable he appears to those who crave stability over struggle. This is why so many women, even now, settle for men they can manage. Men who revolve around them. Men who do not vanish into obsession or sacrifice. These men are chosen not for strength, but for their lack of it. A man with no storm in him cannot frighten. He cannot outgrow her. He will never walk alone into the fire of destiny but the man who seeks legacy, who ascends instead of orbiting, will always threaten comfort. He becomes too distant, too intense, too cold for the ordinary script of love. And here lies the brutal truth: a man must choose. Empire or intimacy, legacy or comfort, history or warmth, rarely both. Napoleon didn't despise women, he simply recognized the contradiction men live with. Women may admire greatness in theory, but in practice they often marry convenience. They praise ambition, yet invest in predictability. And countless men of discipline, vision, and sacrifice learn the same bitter lesson. Love does not always survive the weight of destiny. The higher you rise, the fewer can breathe your air. To live consumed by purpose is not coldness, it is necessity. And because it cannot be controlled, society fears it, labels it toxic, unavailable, or distant. Of course he is distant, he is busy making history. In the end, even an emperor dies alone, because the world rarely understands the man who refuses to kneel. And so every man must face the ancient trade-off. Will you be remembered, or will you be loved? One gives you legacy, the other gives you peace. Few can have both. If you are the man who burns for truth, who works in silence, who builds while others sleep, you must understand something. You were not rejected for weakness, you were rejected for fire. For the fact that being with you would force her to rise, and most do not want to rise. They want to rest. Do not envy the man who is loved for mediocrity. Pity him, for though he may have comfort, he will never be followed, never be truly respected. His love is easy, but it is not deep. You, on the other hand, were not made for comfort. You were made for conquest. Not conquest over others, but conquest over yourself, your doubts, your loneliness, your temptation to surrender. It will cost you. It may cost you love, family, and companionship, but it will give you something no soft man will ever touch: immortality. Because in the end, history does not remember those who whispered sweet words. History remembers those who carved their names into stone. And that path, my brother, belongs to the dangerous man, the man the world fears but secretly bows to.